Bonjour, my dear friends. This is going to be an epic session. We are going to write an spfx ACE card. The idea is to let people join the next meeting they are going to have so they don't have to go to their calendar. Just go to the card, click on a button. Pretty straightforward stuff. But we are going to use the library component of spfx as well as the service locator pattern. Pretty interesting stuff coming up. Let's get started. The best way to onboard on a successful journey is to start slowly and easily. So we are going to first create only the card, the basic functionality, make sure it works, and then extract the common code into a library component and use SPF, service locator pattern on it. Don't worry, I'll be going into much detail into what these bring to the table, but first let's see what we are going to bring. We're going to build. That's the card. It talks to my Outlook, picks up my next meeting, which I'm going to have, and tells me, hey, do you want to join it? It's at 3 o'clock. This is the person who organized it, and that's the title, the subject of the meeting. At any time, a user can click on join, and then I can open the corresponding link within Teams to join him. Or he can also click on all meetings. Then I redirect him to the Outlook, and then he can see, I think it's on 27th that meeting was there. That's the meeting which we are talking about. Important thing, the code as it stands, it can only work with Teams meetings. So make sure that once you organize the meeting, your join team button that is selected. Otherwise, the application will throw an error. The link will throw an error. And secondly, this card should be intelligent enough to keep on refreshing itself. Let's say I had a meeting in 5 minutes, I joined it, and then after that meeting, it should refresh itself automatically to pick up the next meeting. Users shouldn't have to refresh it. We will see how to do that also in a minute. But first, let's create this card. Now, let's go ahead and scaffold our project. I can go here, new terminal. Let's bring it here, and now I can say you at Microsoft SharePoint. Let's scaffold a project. What's your solution name? Next meeting, yes, it is adaptive card extension. Okay, primary text template, adaptive card hello world. Let's call it next meeting. Yes, and then let the magic of video editing make this thing fast for us. Ready? Let's see if I can build it. I just need to do build. Looks okay. Let's do a gulp. Oh, before I do a gulp serve, in fact, I need to change the serve.json. So I would like that it should automatically pick up my website directly. So I can copy this, paste it here so that I don't have to worry about it every time. Make sure to save it. Okay, you know what? Let's delete this thingy here so that we know we start afresh. So gulp serve, nothing is working. Perfect. Gulp serve. Let's even close this thing. Why do I even need it? Because Visual Studio is going, code is going to open it for me. There it is. Let's go ahead. Next meeting, completely out of box stuff. Nothing spectacular about it. To the best of my life, I don't understand why Microsoft didn't default it to large, because that's what you would be doing most of the time in development anyway. And unfortunately, there's no way to set this card size. It's a read-only property within ACE, so we'll have to live with this. So that's my out-of-the-box card. Now let's go ahead and start writing some code, some custom code for ourselves. Where is my Teams? No, I need code. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is to go into my source adaptive card extension. That's the function. Let's go ahead and write, because we'll be using Graph API to access the calendar, so we need to write some function to do so. Let me copy paste a bunch of code meanwhile. bear with me for a minute. It goes here, and that's a code. So let's call it graph, call graph, call graph. Some cool things which we are doing over here. It's a function which works on a particular type, because today I wanted to read calendar. Maybe tomorrow I want to read emails from it. Someday I would like to read tasks via, because the graph API is common to all of this. So that's why it's a type. You tell me what type of information you need, and I will return it back to you as a promise. It's an array. Input parameter, what API endpoint you want to hit. So in our case, it will be calendar, but it could also be, as I said, planner or task or anything you want. Query parameters, let me quickly show you what exactly do they mean. If I go to Graph Explorer, let's look for it, because I'm too bad at learning stuff. So if I go here, yeah, assign it to me, yes, okay, I don't care. If I, let's look at what I need to do to get my calendar, my events for next week. You see, this is exactly the API which I am calling, and I need to set some parameters to the URL, otherwise this thing will not work, right? And that's exactly, this query string parameter is exactly what this whole thing is about. You give me an object with key and values, and I will convert that key and values to query string. That's all it does. So I get the query string parameter, then I return back a promise. I have my graph client. It's a standard graph implementation, in spfx. If you don't know what we are discussing over here, I'll recommend look at the videos in my playlist, and I've explained complete ACE from A to Z in details. So I get my graph client. That's TypeScript, regular TypeScript. So it's of the type MS Graph Client. I hit my endpoint, I add my query string parameter, get some value back, and once I get the value back, if there is an error, I reject it. If it is not, I'll just resolve it so that the calling function can do whatever it wants. To make it work, I need to import MS Graph Client. So let me quickly go ahead and write some more piece of code. So that would be this guy. So this will go here. Okay, and now let's go ahead. Of course, we have to use it somewhere, right? There's no point writing code and not using it. To do that, what I can do is to say that's the code to call it. So that's my call the graph function. Needless to say, it's this function which we will extract into a library component, and then also use the service locator pattern. But for the time being, it's complaining because I need to define some constants, and I also need to define these interfaces, right? So let's go ahead, and I will quickly copy paste some more code here. That would be easier. So constants, copy. Okay, let's go here, paste the code. So just some constants I have. That's my graph API, which is calendar view. It's nothing but this guy. It's this guy, v1 calendar. And then Outlook refresh, mail refresh rate, we shall cover that in a minute. So I need to import my constants over here. I love when my Visual Studio automatically completes my stuff. It's like my wife, huh? She just completes all the, whatever I want to say, she completes my sentences. So let's go ahead and then also copy my models, because I need to define this interface. Paste, those are my models. So iMeeting, it has a subject, start date, end date, and then is all day, is cancelled, and all that, it's nothing major about it. Important thing I did over there is look at the interfaces. I always like to keep it clean, so I move these interfaces also to my constant to my models, so that I know there is one place where everything is kept. So let's go ahead and import all these things. So it should be it's this guy, then I want to import this guy, and lastly I would like to import the model, which is iMeeting. Voila. So that imports are done. Why is it still complaining? Please, oh, from, of course, from, it should be where is it? Where is my models? It should be the same one. Okay, it should be like this. I always have problems figuring out where my structures are kept, so it should be this guy. Voila. So everything looks good. So this dot state, this is complaining, and precisely because if I look into a model, my state is to be an array of iMeetings type, and right now I'm defining it as an empty object, and that's why it's complaining that, hey, type does not match, so you need to fix something. The way to fix this would be to simply say, okay, I know you need a meetings over here, so give me meetings property, but default it to empty as of now because I need to check it up later on. Query parameters, in our case it would be start date and then ISO format and end date in ISO format. And let's go ahead and copy paste some other piece of logic. So here I am calculating my start and end date. Basically I'm only showing next 24 hours of meeting. You are free to choose it, to choose whatever you want. But this is the key to query parameters. You give me key and value objects, and then I convert it into a query string parameter. So this is also done. Is it still building? Looks like yes, the code is still okay. So far so good. I think everything is clear. We calculate our dates, we create a parameter, we make a call to the graph data. Important thing is that we put in the type function, so that is it's very generic. I get some value, typed value back, and then I set my state. And if there is an error, I could simply log it. So far so good. So far so good. Now let's go ahead and look at the other part of the story, which is the card view, because we need to show those two buttons over there, how to go about doing that. Let me go to the card view. Now I would replace, of course this needs to be changed. I'm not sure if I need iModels, but let's go ahead, implement that also, and this would be from, oops, what happened here? Models, so that should be good. Maybe I need to go up a bit. Yeah. Isn't it models? What is it? It's, sorry, iMeetings. What am I doing? I'm not sure, honestly, I need it, but since we are in the process of doing it, why not? So let me pick up some code for the card view. Yeah, that should be it. It's an array, and we return what type of buttons we want. Again, if you are not aware of it, please have a look at my other course. So right now I'm only returning one value, but in my case I need two buttons, so it would be like this. Let's import constants over there. Voila. String see all meetings. Okay, this is some text we need to define. So what am I doing over here? Remember, I'm returning two buttons over here. join the meeting and then all my meeting links. So I calculate the basic link for my meeting. So if I have some values in the state, there are some meetings, then I do, it's basic check, and then I pick up the joining URL and I get the Teams link of that meeting. Otherwise I default it to, if it's not a team meeting, then I just use the regular Outlook calendar link. So I redirect the user to the Outlook calendar, and then I return the two links, the first link and the second link. The reason this is not working is because of localization. I need to have these values set up. So let me quickly go ahead and define those also in my strings class. Again, if you don't know what we're talking about, please have a look at my other course. So I would go ahead and quickly copy paste a bunch of code. It should be this one, Control C. This I will keep like this. So I have defined the types over here, but I also need to define the actual strings, which is over here. And let's go ahead and copy some bunch of code. It's pretty straightforward thing. The code is on GitHub, so you can have a look at it. I will not go into much details over here. That should be okay. Okay, so we have everything ready. Okay, but those are my buttons. I'm not sure if the buttons would already load. Let's see. Maybe they do. I do not know, honestly. Okay. Refresh it. I don't think why button didn't load. Why did it not load? Honestly, I was expecting it to load. Let me check, think why. Still doesn't load. Let's check what the hell is going on in the code. So if I go to sources, that's my cardview.ts, and I can see that it's only returning one array, while in my code it should be two. Clearly it's not taking my code. So what I'm going to do is to kill this process and start it again. Maybe that might do the trick. And if everything goes right, I should this time at least be able to see my two buttons. Let's go ahead, new meeting. There it is. Pretty nice. You see, it should just open the okay, I know I'm again going on the same rant. But let's open the large one. So those are the two meetings. Is it working? So join should take me to Teams. Of course that link works. So you can see that's good. And then if I click on all meetings, I go to my Outlook calendar, which is pretty nice. That's exactly what I was looking for. The only thing I need to change is to put the text, some text over here. This is the guy who joined your meeting, and this is the guy, this is your meeting ID and all that thing. And the way to do that is to go into the card view. Those were the buttons, and then replace this thing with something else. Remember, we need to take care of two possibilities. One, that person has some meeting, but he could also not have a meeting. So we need some kind of a message over there that, hey, congratulations. Basically this method, congratulations, you have no meeting today, and which again is a very good thing. No meetings is always good. I think so. Okay, let's copy some more code in the card view functionality. I need to change the data, so that would be my data here. Command C, come here, and we paste it. So what am I doing? Nothing much. I check if my state is not undefined. There is some value in the meeting and length is greater. Then I pick up the date of that meeting, and then I return. I set the primary text, description, and title, and that's what is getting shown on there. So if I save it, and that's my card, and all the text has been assigned over there. Perfect. The other thing I wanted to do is to somehow auto poll / auto refresh it, so that the user does not have to keep on refreshing the page himself to see the new data. And it's pretty straightforward. The way to do that, all we need to do is to use a set time interval function here. We can do it like this. put it here so that it keeps on running after every n seconds. In my case, I would make it, I think I have a constants value over there, constants dot mail refresh is just an integer slash number. You can use, I think it's defaulted to 30 minutes right now, and then I can copy paste this, rather cut this paste and put it over here, right? That takes care of refreshing the whole thingy. But there is a catch, because set time interval, once we specify this piece of logic within set interval, it will keep on even when the page goes down, even when the component is not there on the page, since we have set the time interval, it will keep on working. So we need to, on dispose of this function, we need to remove that interval, right? The way to do that is pretty straightforward. We can define it, it's basically a number, and then we can, right, so we need to store that number somewhere in our variable, and then use that variable on clear interval function. Clear interval, it's again a JavaScript API. So what I would do over here is to say, let's call it private counter number. Let's do it this way, private, I think it's of the type number. Number, right, Control C. We get our number here, right, and then we use this guy, Control C. Now just like on init, we have another function within base adaptive card extension which is called on dispose, this guy. And then over here we can say clear interval and this dot underscore continue. And now you refresh it. If it works fine, of course it works fine. Absolutely not. I got some error somewhere. Let's see what's going on here. What is it complaining about? Character 34, line 109. Could it be because of this guy? Control save. It was a semicolon. I don't clearly understand why it should complaining about it, but anyways, so that's how you auto refresh the card. So I hope guys you liked this session. In the next session, we are actually going to talk about the meat of the application, which is library components and service locator. But for me to have that motivation, you need to hit like, share and subscribe so that I can kick myself on my back and say, do the video. Till then, see you soon.